and juicy hamburgers, juicy meat, juicy toppings, and lots of napkins.
Dave Thomas never let up. By 1978, there were 1,000 Wendy's. In 3 years, there would be another 1,000. And he never stopped looking for innovations to make his places stand out in the crowd. In 1979, Dave put in salad bars. Everyone agreed Dave Thomas was a nice guy, as he outworked, outthought, and out-hustled the competition. But it could be a bit intimidating.
He did put this fear in you, and he had me in tears many times. And he used to tell people, he said, now don't, she starts crying at the drop of a hat, so don't upset her. But it was just the way he'd like, this isn't right.
Over the course of his life, Dave had been in both winning and losing situations, and he knew full well that winning was a lot better. He was already rich, and he'd been so successful that no one could ever take that away from him. As he looked around for motivation, he discovered it was right in front of him.
Good. Well, my big motivation was, if any time that I had any doubts, you know what I'd do? I'd have a double cheese with mustard, pickle, and onion, and a bowl of chili, and a Frosty. I said, man, I know we can sell this. It's fantastic.
Once Dave had confirmed his own belief in the Wendy's product,
Superb.
it was just a matter of finding a celebrity spokesman who liked the product as much as he did.
They were talking big bucks for him to have to pay to have a standing star to go through the commercial, just as he's done. So I think that was wasn't hard for him to decide that he wasn't going to pay that kind of money for someone to do something he could do.
Then the Wendy's Brain Trust started to cast about for a gimmick besides a big name that would make their restaurant stand out.
The first bite and the last bite is really important. And that's the reason why you got to have enough condiments on a sandwich.
They decided they'd hammer on quality and started to look for an eye-catching way to do it.
So I said to Dave one day, I said, I think if we're going to make somebody an offer that has to do with value, why don't we tell them that if they don't like the food, they get their money back? I mean, nobody's done that. And I think it's real important that this offer come from you.
My hamburgers are the best in the business, or I wouldn't name them after my daughter. And that's the truth.
The man had this sort of charisma on television.
Wendy's old-fashioned hamburgers. Come on in.
Hi.
Howdy, dude.
If Dave tells me, I believe it. It's a very, 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 very strong trait in a spokesman in advertising. If somebody says it, I'm willing to believe it just because they're saying it. I mean, that's not out there.
Can we have Dave Thomas on the set, please?
And so the great race was on. Dave played the blushing starlet and was coaxed out from the back room where he'd been an anonymous mastermind and into the spotlight.
Oh, Dave, where have you been all my life?
Well, I spent a lot of time in the kitchen.
Dave hadn't been in the kitchen for years, but he was overwhelmingly believable and likable on television.
Bonjour, Dave.
Bonjour!
Now, the question was, is the Dave Thomas on TV the same as the Dave Thomas of real life?
Uh-oh.
He's not like that. That's the myth, that he's lighthearted and, real funny.
The question about what's he like in person, and is there some similarities? It's seamless, it really is. It's the same guy.
Some of the humor is what I really believe in. I mean, I don't like gourmet restaurants, and I don't like put on the airs, and I mean, I'm not too big on that. I mean, I like short sleeve shirts, and I like good food and good hamburgers.
Dave was almost 60 years old, rich, and now famous. It seemed like he was finally ready to take it easy. But some of his best work and toughest challenges were waiting for him just around the corner.
Muchas gracias, and thank you.
Dave Thomas was out of the backroom shadows forever by the time the 1990s rolled around. In his late 50s, he'd become a poster boy for a tough start in life.
A high school dropout at the age of 15, who over the years since then has accumulated 10 honorary degrees from places like Duke, Baylor, Clemson, has spoken at the Harvard Business School. Please welcome Dave Thomas!
But Dave kept his day job as Wendy's front man. In that role, he had become a force of nature.
Our hamburgers are the best in the business, or I wouldn't name the place after my daughter.
In 1992, Wendy's opened its 4,000th store. Dave was a long way from day-to-day management chores, but he was still very much the company cheerleader.
I think we can build Wendy's into the biggest. We're the best now, but we could also be the biggest.
He was now senior chairman, a figurehead in his own company, but he kept a sharp eye on the bottom line.
You could expect, inside a 5-minute conversation with Dave, to have the question, what are you doing for sales? It's very clear what was always on his mind. And you learn quickly, you better have an answer.
And Dave did not let his success obscure his own background, that he had been adopted. He made adoption the main theme in his life and gave his time and money for the cause. In 1990, the Bush White House named him national spokesman. Dave Thomas was still a devout capitalist and Wendy's second largest shareholder, but adoption was the new mountain he wanted to climb.
Hi, I'm Dave Thomas. I'm adopted, so I know the love adoption brings to both a child and family. Think about adopting a special child.
He established his personal foundation to further and facilitate adoption in 1992, and he donated the proceeds from 2 books to the cause. He was slowly chipping away at things that had haunted him from his childhood.
There's 2 things in my life I never really wanted anybody to know about. Was being adopted, well, maybe 3 things. Born out of wedlock, being adopted, and quitting school. And I had nothing to do with the first 2. You know, born out of wedlock or being adopted. But quitting school I did, and that was one of the most stupid mistakes I made. Some people say that I have everything I could ever need, but all my life I regretted quitting high school.
Dave had come around on education, but he was still just paying lip service until a high school student challenged him to put up or shut up during a motivational speech about the value of education.
So I decided to study for the GED test. It wasn't easy.
Dave got a tutor and studied high school courses. Then he took an exam and passed it.
It's never too late. Get your GED diploma and finish what you started.
He finally took it and he passed it. And I read that test. And if I had to take that thing today, I don't think I could make it.
In 1993, he was awarded his General Equivalency Diploma.
I now declare you an honorary graduate of Coconut Creek High School and a recipient of the General Equivalency Diploma. Congratulations.
If I can do it, you can do it. I mean, this is the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. You can do or be anything you want to.
Dave's classmates voted him most likely to succeed, and Dave and Lorraine were king and queen of the high school prom.
Happy anniversary!
Wendy's turned 25 in 1994. Dave's little hamburger stand was now 4,400 strong in 38 countries.
I said, is there anything in your life that you don't have that you wished you had? I mean, you could buy anything you really wanted. And what he told me just floored me, that his greatest desire, he said, would be to lose 40 pounds.
Dave's concerns about his weight were well-founded. On a Saturday night in 1996, disaster struck. He suffered a massive heart attack.
He woke me up and told me he couldn't breathe and just collapsed. I didn't even hesitate. We just called 911. And the doctor said if it had been anyplace else, it would have been a whole different ballgame. He just happened to be home. We just happened to have good doctors. And we were only like 5 minutes from a hospital.
Dave nearly died, but fought his way through it.
God threw him back because he had more to do. He didn't want him yet. That's what it's all about. So, he's still here with us.
Dave went through a remarkably short convalescence.
When I had an emergency, my family called 911.
And was back making his 515th commercial the next year.
Know when to call. I'm an old-fashioned guy.
But the old Dave gave way to a trimmer model by at least 40 pounds. For a man once described as a steer in a short-sleeved shirt, it was like a wish come true. Dave didn't turn his back on the red meat that had made him a fortune. He just learned to love it less.